These are the worst rides for plus-size people at the U.S. Disney parks. We're going to start over in the West Coast since I just got back from Disneyland. Now, there are a lot of phenomenal rides here, some of the best children's rides you'll ever see. But the absolute worst ride that I had at Disneyland has to go to the Matterhorn bobsleds. I know a lot of people love this ride, but for me, it was fun, but I got cramped trying to get into it. They try to move it so fast, and I actually lost my fuel rod charger and had to buy a new one. So it cost me $30. So this ride is definitely the worst for me as a plus-size person at Disneyland. Now let's take a short walk across the path and head over to Disney California Adventure. And the worst ride here, no contest whatsoever, Goofy Sky School. I got asked about this ride a ton. I was able to finish it, but it is very similar to the Sand Serpent in Tampa Busch Gardens. It was extremely tight and uncomfortable and very jerky. I was in pain after this roller coaster. It is cute, but there's not a lot to it. And as much as I love you, Goofy, your ride at Disney California Adventure is the worst for plus-size guests. Let's head back over to the East Coast to Disney World Resort, and let's go with Hollywood Studios. At over 350 pounds, at 5'8", I have never had any real problems on any of the rides at Hollywood Studios. So this one's going to be a bit different, and I'm going to choose a show. Now, I love this show. It's hilarious, but Muppet Vision 3D has the tightest seats in all of Disney World or Disneyland for seeing a show. The seats are the narrowest here. There is a bench in the back you can sit on, but for the seats themselves, I have to give this one the worst experience for Hollywood Studios. Let's head on over to EPCOT now, where a lot of the seats here are actually bench seats, and they even make them a little bit better. They just removed the dividers in Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, making that a much better seat, or it would have ended up on this list. But with that change, I have to go with one of my absolute favorite rides, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, as the worst ride for plus-size people in EPCOT. I've never not fit on this ride, but I have had to try and jam the bar down a few times as I've come down. So as great as it is, I do have to give it here to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, though I highly recommend this ride. If you enjoy learning about rides for plus-size people, don't forget to check out fattestedtravel.com. Let's go to my favorite park next, which is Animal Kingdom, and unfortunately has the only ride in either Disneyland or Disney World I just could not fit on at all. And of course, that is Avatar's Flight of Passage in Pandora. This ride is very difficult for many people to get onto, and it's the only ride I cannot ride. Now, because of this, I don't know if I'm going to call this the worst ride, because a lot of this is more of what I can fit on and has been painful. So I'm going to give it to the other ride, and this is just because I'm petty, in Pandora, and that is Na'vi River Journey. This is a boat ride. You will have absolutely no problem fitting on this ride. But outside of the shaman, I think this is a very boring and unimaginative ride, and it is not worth the wait. So I'm going to be very petty right now and just call this the worst ride in Animal Kingdom. Now that you're all mad at me, and before we get to Magic Kingdom, let's give some honorable mentions. First up is the Astro Orbiter in Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. This is a very difficult ride to get in and out of, and is just a spinning ride. So while it is kind of cool to see the castle in Magic Kingdom on top of the roof, it's not worth it, and it's very tight. Our next honorable mention is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, where you have to fit your legs under a very tight bar. If you've got some big thighs, this is not a comfortable ride. Typically, the ride itself is absolutely fine. It is really cool to go through the mine. But while you're sitting and waiting as the dwarves and Snow White dance, you get very, very uncomfortable waiting to unload. And finally, one of the mountains had to make the list, and that's going to be Space Mountain. And yes, it's going to be on both coasts. In Disney World, it's hard to get into and out of, but it is perfectly comfortable while you're on the ride. There is no cute way to get out of this ride at Disney World. And at Disneyland, this has the same problem as Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, where it has a very tight bar around your legs. Those are our honorable mentions for worst rides for plus-size people at Disney World and Disneyland. But now let's get to Magic Kingdom. I realize I've already listed several in the honorable mentions category here for Magic Kingdom, but the worst ride for plus-size people in Magic Kingdom has to be Tomorrowland Speedway. This is a slow, monotonous drive around a track, which has been made a little bit better with the addition of Tron. Especially during construction, it was fun to drive around and see what was going on. But fitting your legs up under that steering wheel as a large person is very difficult. By the time I'm done, I'm often cramping. But the worst part about this isn't that this is the most uncomfortable ride, because there are those like Astro Orbiter that are actually worse. It's that this ride is loud and it smells terribly. It is made, they're still using diesel cars, and it is absolutely horrible. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for the cast members. Hope you enjoyed this, and don't forget